Friends, is there anything dubious in the recently completed merger of Lakshmi Vilas Bank with the DBS Bank India? Is there anything suspicious in the decisions and actions taken by RBI in this merger process? Subramanian Swamy, the Rajya Sabha member and BJP leader, believes so. He has written a letter to Prime Minister Modi a couple of days back demanding Cbi Enquiry into the functioning of RBI. He has also asked to send RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das on indefinite leave. He is even going to the extent of alleging that the present RBI Governor has history of corruption allegation against him when he served in Tamil Nadu. The provocation for the demands made by Mr. Swamy is what he alleges as a shoddy deal taken place in the merger of Lakshmi Vilas Bank with the DBS Bank. He says that RBI's functioning must remain one of the government's top priorities and pointed out that CBI has never found it necessary to investigate any office of the RBI, even in any of the high-profile financial scams the country has witnessed over the years. He also asked the Prime Minister to reconstitute RBI board and advisory committees. Functioning of RBI as a regulator of banks and NBFCs leaves a lot to be desired, he says. The BJP member also sought to put the LVB-DBS merger on hold in order to facilitate a forensic audit of the takeover of the assets of LVB by DBS. Lakshmi Vilas Bank was merged with DBS India, which is the Indian arm of the Singapore-based DBS Bank, with effect from 27th November 2020. Prior to that, the bank had been placed under prompt corrective action by Reserve Bank of India on 17th November. The draft plan for merger was approved by the Union Cabinet on 25th November, and all the branches of LVB started functioning as DBS branches from 27th November onwards. Because of the merger, no depositor of LVB lost their money. The staff members also have been retained, so they are also safe. But the loss happened to the shareholders and bondholders is enormous, because the entire capital of LVB was written off as part of the merger plan. Further, RBI also asked LVB to write off its Tier 2 bonds worth 318.20 crores from its books. So the shareholders and bondholders lost all the money they had invested in LVB. Bankers, especially ABA, the largest union of the workmen in the banking industry, and also the major officers associations, had come against the merger. They called the merger as gifting of an old generation public sector bank to a foreign entity. It is the first time an Indian bank is merged with a foreign bank, and that too during the times of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, Subramanian Swamy, the maverick politician, is also voicing his opposition against what he calls as the hastily executed merger. He has sought to put the LVB-DBS merger on hold to facilitate a forensic audit of the takeover of the assets of LVB by the Singapore-based bank. Swamy has called for an examination of the allegations against the DBS made internationally and in the company's home country, Singapore, on money laundering. He has since tweeted that the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, of US Department of Treasury, which is equivalent of the Finance Ministry in US, has named DBS as a suspect in a $6 billion money laundering scam. In the letter written to PM Modi, Swamy alleges that it is amazing that RBI had sought objections from stakeholders, but these objections were to be filed by the close of business hours on November 20th, 2020. That means less than 72 hours were given for raising objections by any stakeholder in the matter. He noted that several stakeholders, notably the bond and shareholders, had raised objections to the scheme. However, the RBI forwarded the draft scheme for cabinet approval in great haste on November 25th without factoring any such objections. Subsequently, the scheme was notified and came into effect on November 27. Swamy alleges that there was unusual haste with which RBI carried out the scheme of amalgamation, which makes it dubious. He also condemns the short shrift given to the well-taken objections of the stakeholders and the unprecedented and unreasonable terms under which the bond and shareholders' interests have been written off. He also questions the arbitrary manner in which DBS Bank was chosen without any standard operating procedure in such proposals and raises serious questions on RBI's functioning and integrity. He is comparing the actions of RBI with the 2G spectrum scam and terms it as arbitrary, unreasonable and malified as the 2G scam. He also reminds the Prime Minister that as in the 2G scam, the reckless actions of the RBI may have disastrous consequences for the party and alliance partners in the forthcoming Tamil Nadu elections. RBI is armed with extraordinary regulatory, supervisory and monitoring power vis-à-vis the banks under the Banking Regulation Act. Its nominees are represented in the board of all banks, including the LVB. The management committee is exercising the powers of the bank's board with regard to credit proposals above a specified threshold. That means the RBI nominees in the bank's boards are also aware of the major credit decisions taken by the bank. Still, banks after banks have been suffering losses and also subjected to high increase in their NPA figures. And it proves that there is a serious flaw in the functioning of the RBI and more particularly the lack of accountability, according to Mr. Swamy. In the meantime, some shareholders have also approached courts against the merger of the bank, which has caused heavy monetary losses to them. Apart from the shareholders, the bank employees associations have also been protesting against the merger of the bank with a foreign bank. But the arrival of Mr. Subramanian Swamy, who never hesitates to challenge governments and bureaucracy, and who never shies away from taking legal actions against what he believes is injustice, definitely adds a new dimension to the controversy arising out of LVB's merger with the DBS. Thank you.